I'm Ted Wiprud, and I'd like to play for you the first fugue from my new set of preludes and fugues. It goes with the first prelude, which is featured on another video, and begins like this. That prelude referenced a prelude written by Johann Sebastian Bach a few hundred years earlier that begins like this. It's hard to stop. That's the very first prelude from the first book of Bach's Preludes and Fugues for the Well-Tempered Clavier. To find a point of reference for the fugue I'm going to play for you, we have to go to the end of that volume, to the B-flat minor fugue, which begins like this. So forth. What makes that a fugue? What is all this anyway? Well, a fugue is a piece written using a technique called counterpoint. Counterpoint is the play of independent voices against each other. A voice is one melodic line. It could be played by the piano or a violin or a singer. It's just called a voice. Music that has independent voices always in play against each other is called counterpoint. For instance, here's one voice, and then the second voice comes in underneath, while the first voice is still going on top. They play against each other. That's counterpoint. What makes it a fugue is that each voice begins with the same short melody called a fugue subject. In this case, that's the whole subject. From there on, it becomes accompaniment to the subject in other voices. The texture in a fugue can vary from one voice at a time to two to three, up to four voices at a time, whereas in this piece, 5 voices at a time. So a fugue demonstrates a composer's mastery of counterpoint. And Johann Sebastian Bach was the greatest master of fugue ever, although many composers wrote great fugues before him and after him. So what about my own first fugue, and what could it possibly have to do with this masterpiece? Well, there are a couple of points of similarity, if not comparison. The first is that the subject of my fugue is very short, like the subject of Bach's. Mine is just those 4 notes. It's about the same length as Bach's. Another similarity with this particular fugue of Bach is that the subject is almost always present in my fugue. There's very few times when there's free counterpoint without the subject. For instance, let me play you a little bit of the Bach where you'll hear the subject just coming back again and again, but always in a different harmonic context. There it is on top, and then in the middle, that's one of the things I love about this particular fugue, is that that subject is always there, but always in a different emotional harmonic context. In general, it's a rather dark tone to this fugue, but the light keeps on shining through the darkness. That's the kind of feeling I was going for in the first fugue of my set. 3 more things to mention about my fugue, and then I'll just play the darn thing. One is that the 2 notes that begin at C and A flat are the same notes that are the basis of the prelude. That that's how I came up with the idea for this fugue, is based on the prelude itself. Another thing is that the subject appears in all 12 possible keys. This is something for music nerds, right? That it goes up the circle of fifths. And so forth. And finally, at the end of my fugue, the subject overlaps itself in a kind of a fun way. It goes, you'll hear it on the top, immediately then the bottom. And then see if you can hear that when we get to it. All right, my own fugue number 1.